else I'd rather be doing with my day.
I could think of a few things. I finally got the VR thing set
You're
up.
right.
So
My hand is one of them. I would rather be doing my hand. You're right.
Okay. Not your left?
No, definitely my left. I feel like I'm not left-handed, but you need the right hand for the mouse.
No, you don't.
Do you not go and find a video? Like, do you not click through multiple videos?
So I have a split keyboard. So the mouse just moves into the middle of the keyboard where my left hand can reach it.
So your mouse is basically right above your dick at that point?
Uh-huh. Sure. Raven says,
Okay.
must we? Okay. Speaking of jerking it.
What? Okay.
The American military. Hey.
Yay, we're in Iran.
Well, yeah. So you guys have heard that story about how apparently a military leader was like, hey, no, we're going to Iran to usher in Armageddon and the second coming of Christ.
Yep.
Yeah, so Hemant Mehta did a little bit of... he didn't really even do digging. He just did some critical thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
He also contacted the person that the story came from, but there's some issues with the story.
Okay.
So as much as it does fit our narrative of what Trump is trying to do with the military and with how dangerous Christian nationalism is, it's also important to say true things.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, Hemant points out enough issues with the story that, like, I'm not going to say that it didn't happen, but I'm not comfortable saying that it did happen.
So, when I covered this on my channel, I think my perspective, and granted, maybe somebody's going to go in the video, scrutinize it, and find out that maybe I didn't scrutinize this enough, but my perspective is that we know what the Seven Mountains Mandate is. We are aware of the goal of the Seven Mountains Mandate, so whether or not an actual individual officer said these exact words, we know that higher up, that is not only a goal, but the goal. So I understand wanting to scrutinize it. I understand wanting to make sure that we are factually reporting. All of that makes perfect sense, but I think it all needs to be said with the caveat of there is a reason that people believe.
There's a reason this resonated.
Yeah, there's a reason this resonated with people irrespective of that. I do want to know if it is actually true, because if it is actually true, then that is more of a red flag, that is more of a red alarm. That is more of something to be worried about. We don't want to do the J.D. Vance where we go, we lie so people will pay attention to a thing. That's a stupid fucking perspective.
Well, unless we're talking about couch fucking.
Unless we're talking about couch fucking, but like that's just libel.
That one's open.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine libel. But the reason that resonated with so many people is that the Seven Mountains Mandate is a thing that tries to bring about the Armageddon, and it's not a secret. It's a thing that is very, very well known.
Yeah. So I'm actually working on a video right now that's kind of going through the history of Christian Zionism in the United States, and kind of got its first political push with Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
Who also just happens to be the president who he screened the first ever motion picture in the White House. Like, first time that was screened in the White House, it was him. Do you recall by any chance which motion picture he chose to screen as the first one to ever be screened in the White House?
I do not know.
Birth of a Nation.
Oh.
And it was one of his favorite movies. So that's the guy who gave Christian Zionism its first political pushes.
Huh.
I mean, it goes back earlier than that. Like, President John Adams wrote in a letter to, forget what his position was in the government, but he was fired from his position in the government essentially for being Jewish, and he never really got a response to like why he was fired, but it was very clearly because he's Jewish. And when John Adams wrote him a letter, which didn't really go over why he was fired, but part of the letter was like, I wish that, like, you know, I read your work about your travels through Syria and Asia and all that, and you know what? It was really moving, and I really wish that I was fighting beside you and 100,000 Jews to take back your homeland so that they could have a home of their own. And that was like 1820-ish, somewhere around there.
Huh.
So it's not like it didn't have political support before then, but Woodrow Wilson was the first president to actually, like, because like that was just like one offhanded letter from John Adams. There isn't really anything else there. And then there's like a few smatterings throughout the 1800s, but then Woodrow Wilson is when it actually started its push. Anyway, fascinating stuff. And it get me the funniest Amazon alert I've ever had. I ordered this book written in 1878 called Jesus is Coming. So I got an Amazon notification saying, Jesus is coming today. Jesus is coming today. And he came.
I guess he did. Like this.
Yeah.
Technically, that is not an inaccurate statement.
Yeah. It's not a very well written book. I don't know how because this is the book that is largely credited with kickstarting the Christian Zionist movement before it got to the political thing. And it's not well written. It's like there's nothing like the entire first chapter sounds like something that you would hear a modern day street preacher yelling at people as they walk past, and not like one of the crazy end is nigh ones, just like any of the ordinary street preachers.
But like you got to think that style of preaching became popular for a reason, so like maybe it makes a little bit of sense.
Maybe it doesn't have quite the same kick when it's written down.
No, it doesn't, but you can always read the audiobook if you need that experience.
There probably are a few versions of that. Actually, so I found myself, I was so bored with the Christian street preaching stuff as I was reading it that like I started, my mind just started wandering, and like there are a few spots in there where like he's referencing future pages, and that's like, I only just got the book today. I've been reading it on archive.org. And it was like, the archive is a scanned version of like one of the original print runs. And so as I'm reading it, my mind is so bored, it's wandering to like, how did they reference future pages in a book in the 1800s? Because like they'd have to write that many pages, but then once they reference it, that has the potential to bump the page number up or down. And like he does it several times, so it's like he had to keep meticulous track of like every single spot where he would have referenced a future page number, and then made sure to change them all to actually fit with where the typesetting was going to have them be. And that's what I was thinking about while reading his whole end is nigh bullshit.
And you wondered if you're autistic?
Yes.
It was actually a question with a measure of doubt in your mind.
Yes.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Is that not a question you want the answer to?
No, not really.
Well, so that makes me think that people that wrote books back then, like they had to be autistic, because the amount of extra work that had to go into just like planning the layout of the book is just like, no. That's too much.
It's just no.
It's just no. First hat, almost a half an hour in. That's a long time to wait for a hat. Everybody's points must be gone.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Conton83, for the hat. Okay, back to this war story thing. So on Monday, independent journalist Jonathan Larson posted about how a combat unit commander told a handful of officers that the war in Iran was part of a religious crusade, and that Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light a signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon, mark his return to Earth. Now, this entire thing is based on one single source, Mikey Weinstein of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. And he has a copy of the email. And he says that the complaints came from more than 40 different units spread across at least 30 military installations, and totaled 110 complaints.
Now, see, that's the part that I had not heard, that there was a bunch of instances of this happening. I only heard of one. Is that's evidence
part
of
what makes it fishy.
That's evidence of a game of telephone happening.
So that's part of what. Well, I don't even know that it's a game of telephone at this point. It's one guy that keeps changing his story. So Hemant says he doesn't have any reason to doubt Weinstein. He doesn't think he's making any of this up. But there are a few concerns here. So first, it's a single source. Like, this is one email going to one organization that claims to be representing all these different people. So it's not that they got 110 individual complaints. It's that they got one complaint that claims to be representing 110 individual people, which if you go to their website now, it's over 200. But they don't have new complaints. It's just the same email.
That is definitely evidence things are a little fucky at that point.
Yeah. But then Hemant also brings up, if a commander in the military was arguing that this war is part of a religious crusade, why did no other media organization report on the story? So, like, why aren't these people that are making complaints, why aren't they going to official channels? Why aren't they going to different media outlets? Why are they all going to this one guy?
Yeah, that's fair.
They have complaints. They like there are people in the military whose job it is to handle these complaints that they know about, and none of them have been handling these complaints. It's all been just this one guy who got emails.
And that definitely would be
And
some evidence there at that point.
it's also the MRFF, which where's I forget what it stands for. He said it somewhere, but the MRFF, Military Religious Freedom Foundation, something like that. I'd never heard of them before this, but I was aware that there were official channels within the military where you can handle this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how are all these military service members who are surely much more familiar with the process than I am, how are they all going to this one obscure organization as opposed to going through the official channels or just going to the press themselves?
Yeah. No, I can definitely see how things don't add up when you put it that way.
Yeah. Also, nobody has named the actual commander who made the comments.
You would think that would also be...
Yeah, especially like if you're reporting anonymously, like that's why you report anonymously.
Yeah,
so that,
you do a name and shame.
Yeah.
Definitely valid points. Like, there's definitely valid points there.
Yeah, and that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about with this. Like, there's a whole article that goes with it. There's issues with the MRFF has had similar stories, and the emails that they post that were breaking these similar stories always follow a very similar structure and writing style.
And, like, it's very convenient for us to have this, like, smoking gun, but the smoking gun might not actually be there.
Yes. So definitely recommend going to read this article for yourself, reading all the way through, because there's a lot there. But, like, like I said, I'm not... It's too, for lack of a better term, it is too cromulent an accusation for me to ignore, but there's also too many little nagging questions like this for me to be completely comfortable being like, yeah, no, this for sure happened.
Dorito says, I can answer that. Can answer what? I don't know what that's in reference to.
I love chat lag. It makes it so fun when people reference things that we say.
Yep.
I can't tell if Ryan was wearing a fez, a dunce cap, or a traffic cone. It is a fez. It's got the little tassel. I was trying to flip the tassel, but... All right.
What stuff? I don't
Did stuff
trust
drop
whatever's
in?
about to come out of your mouth.
Well, it's stuff, so it could be anything.
You're right. It could be. They can be very creative.
Otaku Senpai says word of the day is cromulent. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the term cromulent, it originates from an episode of The Simpsons where the writers were like having a bet with each other that they could make up a word and just have it like have people believe that it was an actual word, and cromulent was what they came up with. And the way that they snuck it in was just perfect because it was the episode about Jebediah Springfield, Jebediah or Jedediah, I don't know, one of those two, the founder of Springfield, where he said something about noble spirit embiggens the heart or something like that. I don't know what their motto was. I don't have the entirety of The Simpsons memorized. He used the word embiggens, and one of the teachers was like, huh, you know, I'd never heard the word embiggens before I moved to Springfield. I don't even know that it's a real word. And Mrs. Krabappel responded like, it's a perfectly cromulent word.
Yep.
So, like, they made it mean, like, they made up a word to win the bet or whatever, and just inserted it in the most blatant, like, I dare you to call me on this shit moment of the show. And it's great. And so now it is now become an actual word, essentially.
Yeah, it is a word now.
I'm pretty sure it's in the dictionary, so there we go. A noble heart embiggens even the smallest man. Thank you, Doraemon 10. That sounds like the quote. Mr. Plowking would like to know what the Simpsons are. I don't believe that you don't know that, Mr. Plowking.
Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitt, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.